So welcome to Path of a Plumber podcast. I'm here with Joe Crisara, and your company's name is called contractorselling.com, correct?
You got it. You got
Right.
it, William.
And we were just talking that you said you started in Chicago doing plumbing and HVAC in 1977, so almost 44 years.
Well, I've been part of it really my whole life. My dad was a plumber since 1956, and his dad was a plumber since the 1920s. So definitely, my whole family's been part of it for years and years. But yeah, and first of all, thank you for inviting me here, William. I really appreciate the invite, and it's so nice to talk to you.
Yeah, well, you came highly recommended to me from the guys at New Flow. I used to work with them, and I do quite a bit of marketing for their guys. And they were like, "If you want to know about," because I think I was telling them that, man, I can generate unlimited calls, but not all my guys can sell the same. And they were like, "Oh, you should talk to Joe." And so that's how we kind of got connected. And so, before we get into kind of what you're doing now, just tell me a little bit of your journey of kind of, starting out as a plumber and kind of building to where you are, and just kind of give us a synopsis of how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so I was starting out in the plumbing business as an apprentice in 1977. My dad got me into this, and then I started out just working in the field and carrying cast iron around and things like that, and before PVC was made a job easier. But and then I got a job full time and eventually started my own business in 1985. And thought I knew everything about business, but it turned into the fact that I really didn't know much about business. I didn't know how to. I used to think that people would be motivated at a lower price, and I started to try to save people money all the time on their plumbing, and it wound up getting me in financial trouble by about 1991, about 6 years into it. I had a client of mine who finally set me straight and said, "Joe, why are you always trying to save people money? Why don't you show us how to do the best service you can do, and then don't worry about the money part." And he showed me how to do what I teach today. He goes, "I sell pharmaceutical stuff." And he told me how he does it. He says, I create premium, mid-range economy packages. I make sure that all the solutions are customized and relevant to the people I show it to. And then I let the people decide. I don't decide for them. I don't try to save them money. I don't try to overcharge them. I just say, here's all the options, the premium, mid-range economy, just choose the one that's right for you. And he said, just ask people when you show it to them, what should we do? And when I did that, I literally, the very first time I tried it, I sold something that normally would have cost $125 for $1,200. And you can keep scaling that up. The things I used to sell for $1,500, I sold for $15,000 because I had a premium way of doing it. And that was my education right there. And since then, I realized it was such a big paradigm shift, which is I see the world a little bit differently now than I did when it first happened. That I now make that my passion, is to make sure that other plumbers and sewer, drain lining companies, the finest New Flow dealers, if you're part of New Flow, use our services. Down in Phoenix, Arizona, Eric Eves and the Phoenix Group and many other of the New Flow dealers that took our training are the highest performing New Flow dealers there are, because they do the same thing we teach: make options, make them relevant, bring it to a conclusion, and that's pretty much it.
So I learned. Like you said, that method you have had it around through different various organizations, and so it's kind of known throughout the industry. I knew it as good, better, best, is how I was taught, showing some 3 options.
Of course, that would be the opposite of what I teach. So it's exactly the opposite, right? So here's the science behind it. If you show somebody one price, most likely you're going to show them the cheapest one, because you don't want to offend somebody with a high price. And so you're like, well, let me see what I can do for the least I can do. You kind of select it for the customer, and you come up with a price if you do one price. If you go good, better, and best, then you're going to say, well, here's the price I recommend. But we could go better. We could go even better, right?
Yeah.
That's called upselling, and it does have an effect. It will double the effect. So the amount of revenue you will collect will be double with good, better, and best. But if you start with premium, mid-range, and economy, and lead with the premium option first, then that's the anchor. It's called an anchoring effect, William. The first price we give somebody is the one that sticks, like that's the real price, you
Yeah.
know? So if I'm telling you the top option is to do the stack, to line the underlying drains and then do the outside and everything with new fixtures and everything like that, is 48,000 for all that. You're like, wow, that's a lot. Yeah. So I mean, it's got 10-year warranty and service too. Yeah, I don't want that much. Okay, how about the 36,000? That's better. How about the 24,000? Yeah, that looks good. Let's do that one. So what happens is that when you anchor with the premium option first, here's the effect. The amount of revenue will be 3.5 times or more than one option. So you'll double it with the good, better, best, but you'll triple it and then some with the premium mid-range economy. So it is significant. It's
I
it's not a
understand
it's
now.
not a
So
small difference. It's a major
so what
difference,
you're
right?
doing is you're starting with a higher price, and then you're probably reducing warranty and services. So
You got you
they're
you're
having,
reducing
yeah,
you're reducing the scope of the work. Like, let's put a new flow. I said, haven't you guys ever lined a stack before? Oh yeah, whenever they ask us. I said, well, why does somebody have to ask you? Why don't you just tell the person in the premium option, we do the stack, we do the lateral piping, and we do the all the way out to the street, like a water slide out to the street. And then I said, well, what about the fixtures? Are you taking the fixtures off? And they're like, yeah. I said, well, what would happen if we said we would put new fixtures back on? Oh, I never thought about that. I mean, you're taking them off. Why not just put a put a new toilet in, right?
yeah,
And I said, well, what happens if somebody has a drain cleaning call? I said, would you cover that? We couldn't cover that. I said, well, how about if you charge 5,000 more? Would you cover it then? Yeah, I'd cover it then. I said, there you go. You got the cover the 10 years on that then. So everything's got a price. The problem is, I say we have our mother in the truck, meaning that our family history is trying to tell us to find a cheaper way to do this for people. The
yeah.
funny thing is that don't worry about the price. I would say, here's what I can tell you: with money is not my master. Just worry about doing the premium service. If you ran a tire store, you'd say, here's the premium tires that have a Teflon liner that fix their own flat. Then we could do brakes, and we could do suspension, and we could do oil changes for 5 years, and that would be the premium for $47.92. Now, if you want the premium tires without that stuff, it'd be $2,900, and then standard tires would be $1,500, and then one tire would be $500, and then a retread would be $149, and then just patching it would be $89. So what should we do? And that's the famous words I teach. Here's all the options. What should we do? The key thing is not to push people into it. People sell themselves in a way. They determine, what category do I belong in? Am I a premium, mid-range, or economy person when it comes to this? So do I never want to have the problem again? Then we get the premium. Do I want to kind of get the problem fixed semi-permanently, the middle, or do I want to do temporary fix at the bottom? That's kind of what people will reference. And I think everybody's got. If we're selling the house next year, maybe the spot repair would be good. If they're going to keep the house for a couple generations, then do everything. That's how it is. And so the average person who does our program, like in a new flow situation, the average sale is about 18,000, where normally they're having a hard time getting up to 12,000 even. Some people go as high. I have some people who do as high as the average sale of 32,000 doing this now. For water heaters, like for instance, the average water heater repair, what we do would be about $5,900, when people are having a hard time getting people to go for 2,000. The average is about 5,900. But the premium option would be endless hot water, redoing the gas pipe, uh, water purification, Wi-Fi connected shutoff valve with a 10-year warranty and service, probably 15,000, all the way down to, the one you go buy one at Home Depot and I'll put it in for 1,200, something like that, with
Yeah.
no, So the thing is, the client has to think, I'm seeing the whole marketplace. Like, there's no need to shop around because he already brought everything. There's no need to,
Yeah.
that's what's called the service, is world-class service, because I'm reducing the need to shop around when I bring the whole market with me.
Yeah, I learned that someone told me that people are impulsive buyers and comparative shoppers. So the idea behind options is to let them comparatively shop inside of you and not go somewhere else and let them impulsively buy one of your options. Is that similar?
Well, the impulse buy is when you're making the options personalized. Like if I learn that, what's it like when you can't use your drains in your house? And people say that's stressful or frustrating. And I'd say the top option is called the Platinum Plus, no frustrations for William, sewage renovation. I did this for you, William, to get rid of the stress. And I did this for your wife so she could take a fresh shower and she could be happy. That's why I did this. So when I say why I said, here's what I'm doing. More importantly, here's why I'm doing it for your family. Then people are like, that's what I need.
Yeah.
And so the funny thing is there's a balance. Another thing is a balance. The balance between the work we're doing, which is what every plumber and sewer lining person knows, but the other part of the balance is the people we're working for. We have to include that in the presentation too. We have to have a balance between the technical part and the people part, because plumbing without people is worthless. There's no need for plumbing if there's no people to use it.
Yeah.
So if we don't feature the people, then whatever solutions I have are going to be. And then here's the biggest thing: if I don't include the reason why I did this for your family, you're going to think I'm doing it because I'm greedy or it's a money grab. That's the complete opposite of what I teach. What I teach is called pure motive service, which is that I don't care which one you purchase. Even if a client said, which one do you want me to do? Or which one do you recommend? And I would say it would be a conflict of interest for me to recommend anything. My job is to make the options. Top one's more permanent, it's got more service. The bottom one's more temporary, and you keep doing it over again. It's your job to pick the one you want. So if you want the problem to be over completely, then it's the premium. If you want to just keep revisiting the problem, it's economy. If you want to do more of a professional grade, it's the middle. So what should we do? And so the words are, what should we do? The words to live by. So here's the prices. What should we do? I want to think about it. Sure, take all the time you want. What should we do? This is a lot of money. It is a lot of money. It's a high investment, but it's an investment in your family. So what should we do? So that's the thing you're doing. You're not moving backward like a slow moving tank, just crushing it. Making the options, making them personal, bring it to a conclusion. Yes, no, or another appointment. If you did those three things, you triple your sales. If you did, it does. And the good part, William, it doesn't take long. You like one day you're like I was giving things away for free. Next week I'm making 10 times more than I was because I'm offering the option. So it's not like it took a long time for me to get out of it. I was in severe debt back then, but I got out of debt. I was debt free within 2 years. I was at the end of the second year, I was debt free. And everything I've been learned about plumbers making money suddenly came true because I stopped trying to save people money on things, and I started just offering the things. I would say I put my big boy pants on and I showed them all the stuff they needed to do. You make sense there?
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about, your actual business now and the different levels of support that you offer plumbers and contractors in general. Because I think when we had our last call, like people like service techs were getting on in your Zoom call, and you're about to do a coaching session with different techs around the country, and just talk about the levels of service that you offer a company now.
Yeah. We have over 6,000 people who use our program around the country for different service businesses. But we have three different things we do. One is a live training we do, which is an event called Total Immersion, which is good explanation. 4 weeks of pre-training, 1 week of a live seminar that we do for 5 days, 8 hours a day, and then 4 weeks of coaching afterward. The average person does 378% after coming to that live event better than they did before. So that's an event. With that, we also have coaching we give the person, but coaching is something that can be extended throughout the whole year. And that is where I personally become like the sales manager or operations manager of your company. I will create the information. I will teach your people what to do. I will even hold them accountable. So accountability is something we provide for the clients that we do. We don't just let them free range and just give them education. We education, but we test them and certify them, right? So for instance, in our coaching sessions, We have orientation and onboarding of every new employee. So we would have a 3-week session with me. Twice a week we would meet, and I would graduate that person while they're watching e-learning videos, 72 e-learning videos and lessons. We have to answer the questions. If you do all that in 3 weeks and you get this, you're going to increase your sales by about 2.5 times from that 3-week experience, so that every employee who joins a company is onboarded and oriented to the sales system that we provide. Now, we also have support for the office staff and for the management team. How do you manage this? How do you have the office? Because the office has to reflect what the field is doing. So the whole team is on the same page, and that's what we do. So the coaching programs we have are where I am personally involved on a daily basis and a weekly basis. We have a thing called eye care, where every single day at 12 noon Central, I am there to help anybody who needs help. And then we also do weekly lessons after people graduate. So we do weekly training to keep people updated and keep them sharp, to sharpen the saw, I call it. And that's that. And then we also have the third thing, which is self-guided, where I don't personally get involved. You just get the information and you do it yourself. And that's the least amount of money, because I'm not, it's just e-learning. You get the e-learning and things like that, just not involved. So I'm highly involved with the live event. I'm right in your face. And then, the other one I'm on weekly, on a weekly basis, doing it and onboarding and orienting, eye care. I'm become part of the company. And then the bottom option, I'm still part of the company, but people just do it themselves. I don't have me involved with it. Make sense?
Yeah, yeah. And how would you say most people find you today? You want to maybe shout out just your social media handles and just
If you go to Facebook and just look up Joe Crisara, and you can friend me on Facebook. I tell you what, go there and just look up my posts, and you'll see how much information I give away. I always say this, William. You're going to run out of things to ask me for before I run out of things to give you. I've got thousands of pieces of content and information about the science of pricing, the science of persuasion, and everything I do is studied by major universities and think tanks. So I will never run out of things to teach you, because everything I taught last year has been updated, because now Zoom is in the picture. Now you got to know how to make a Zoom presentation, right? Like we're doing right now. So, so everything is changing, and I keep up with those changes, and I keep updating your company with that. But yeah, and you can go to contractorselling.com, and you can also look in the lower right-hand corner of our website at contractorselling.com. And you'll see a little bug that says my picture will pop up. It's a little text. You want to text me? You text us, and we'll set an appointment, and we will talk. I'll give everybody a free tour of how we do it and what we do. And my challenge is this: if you did it, I always give you more. Here's what I would say: you always get more from me than you paid, whatever it is. So you're never going to have a time where you feel like I owe you money. You're going to have many times where you feel like you should have paid me more. That's going to happen a lot, probably like your business, William, right? Like it starts out like, wow, that costs a lot. And then after a while, it's like, wow, we make a lot with that, so it's like, it starts out like, is this going to work? And then it works. And that's the part. That's what I like about you, William. I think we're two brothers from another mother, which is that it feels good to run a business that works every time. That's like you have and I have, right? Does it make sense, sir?
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're like two peas in a pod, and it's like without it. I mean, with you and I together, it's a dynamic duo. You get the leads in, we execute it and get it done, and we have a system to do that, and it's an ongoing educational system. And I always say this: the training we provide is not just good for sales; it's going to make you a better person too, because you're going to be a better listener. You're going to be more clear in your communications, and it's going to benefit anybody who takes it. Make sense?
Yeah, that's why I reached out to you originally, because I can deliver on my campaign pretty much every time I turn it on, but it doesn't mean that the plumber will actually go and make money the same. I can run in the same exact market, same exact campaign, same everything the same. One guy takes the lead and makes hundreds of thousands of dollars, and my fee is irrelevant to him. And the next guy is calling me every day saying, I can't make money on these jobs, man. And it's like,
Right. Yeah, I mean,
that's why
when you're worried about,
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're worried about when somebody's bitching about that it costs like $60 for a lead or whatever, and you're like, dude, that should have been like $6,000 you made on that, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, because the
Exactly.
average the guy in our program, the guy who does drain cleaning, so taking all the drain cleaning calls, the average one would be between 2,500 and 2,900 total per call. If you look at all the calls that come in, some turn into big ones, some they're just small ones. Overall, you're looking at about a 25 to $2,900 average on those calls when they happen. So that's what's at stake. The problem is everybody just tries to go at the cheap thing. They don't say, hey, the best way to do drain cleaning, William, is to eliminate the drains and put in new ones or reline it. That's
Yeah.
that's
Exactly.
the
Yeah.
best way to clean the drain is to replace the drain or reline the drain is the best way, right? So I think a lot of people don't realize drain cleaning is not normal. The plumber's job is to eliminate the drain cleaning permanently. If you did that, we would be on the same. Everybody would be making money on this. Make sense?
Exactly. Yeah. That's my problem right now is I've got guys that do that, but I don't meet them every day.
That's what I'm here for. That's what Uncle Joe's here for. I'm here to you just drop me in water and it comes out good. It's
Yeah,
like
that's awesome. So, so tell me, just, I usually ask this question is, and maybe more from your plumber side, and probably obviously you'll bring it back into your sales training, but if you could give advice to a plumbing business owner, what would you say is the number one thing for them to worry about when they start a business?
well, number one, I understand why people price the things the way they do. Here's a fact: we can only make the price as high as the ability we have to explain it. Does that make sense? So if your price is 25,000, but you're not good at explaining what 25,000 sounds like to somebody, you're probably not going to be good at it. So here's the core of every company. Number one is training. If you don't train people, then you got a bunch. You got chaos. And then the owner starts a company. He's got a certain way he wants this to be done, but he forgets that to train people. So now you got everybody free ranging, and it's just like it sounds: a bunch of chickens out there running around giving low prices. Right? That's
Yeah,
exactly what it is. Now, training is number one. You have to. Training is not just training on what to do, but it's training your mind to kind of accept the fact that for a premium option it could be 48,000 to repipe on a slab leak. I can't see a time where my option wouldn't be above $40,000 on a premium option. I mean, the bottom option is do a sonic leak search, but why would I just do that? I mean, we got the leak search, but I know what we got to do. The house is 50 years old. You got pinhole leaks everywhere. Let's just replace the pipe. That's just go cut to the chase and do it, right? But if you're not trained how to make those options, you're not trained how to present the options, then it's going to be chaos, is what's going to happen. So coaching is when once you train somebody, keep them on track. But if you haven't trained them, what are you coaching them on? You have nothing to coach. Coaching is to remind people how we've been trained. And the third part, here's a big one. Once you train somebody, but invest in that and you invest in that coaching, you have to then create accountability so that here's a simple system of management I can tell you. You give somebody something to do, and then you make sure you inspect to make sure they did it right. If they didn't do it right, then you don't give them something else to do. You say, do that right, and then I'll give you your next call. So if I'm telling you to do these options and I'm telling you to make them personal, I'm telling you to bring it to a yes, no, or another appointment, that's what you got to do. If you don't do it, the call's not done. Go back and do it. The biggest thing we do is we keep giving people calls when they keep failing on the last one we did. They didn't follow the training, they didn't follow the coaching, and we don't hold them accountable. What does accountability mean? Taking the time to stop and make sure people do it. All of our grandparents could tell us this, right? It wasn't like this isn't something new. They'd probably say, Billy, if you're not going to do this job right, don't even do it at all. They your grandfather would have told you that. You know what I'm saying there?
yeah, yeah.
And that same principle is true. If you're not going to do this job right, I'm not going to give you more calls to do. I'm not going to give you anything else to do unless you do that one right. So going back to even when you were a child, you've learned some of the things I teach. This is like the things I teach, William. They were invented like 2,500 years ago by Socrates and Plato and people like that, right? So it's not like I'm teaching something new. But you know, when you say this is now how we apply it to today's world, and I think the good part, accountability has eroded away. That nobody takes accountability, nobody takes responsibility. Everybody's blaming other people for everything, right? You can see the society today. So there's never been a time when my service stands out more, since I teach responsibility, I teach accountability, things that are rare. You might be able to teach sales training to a degree, but to take it to the level that I take it to, I don't think anybody's going to catch me on this,
Yeah.
because you have to go pretty deep on the way I do things, right? It's not just going to be how to price things or how to talk to people, but there's going to be an accountability measure as to make sure we do it every call like that. Because a professional does it every call, whether he feels like it or not. He does it on every call. Make sense?
Yep. Awesome. So I think it's a good episode so far. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you might want to mention before we go?
Not really. I mean, the biggest thing is if you can take this information today and say, hey, I'm just going to try and do a premium mid-range economy option. Just add, instead of a flapper on a toilet, do the rebuild in the middle and a brand new toilet on the top. If you're going to cartridge for a faucet, do the cartridge, economy faucet, premium faucet, and just show people the premium one first, and then say we could do the flapper would be the cheap way, and then let people make their own. Just say, what should we do? I tell you, if you did a little mini experiment, what you'd find is you'd probably double your sales by doing that. Like, holy shit, I made more money just from this podcast.
Yeah.
I didn't have to buy anything. And that's my hope. My hope is that you make money with this advice and doesn't cost you anything. But then you're like, how do I get more of this? Because it works. And that's my marketing. My marketing is take it for a test drive and see how it works, because it works every time. The numbers are in my favor because I know it. I know that's what I did when I learned it. It's like that guy from the pharmaceutical guys here. I'm going to help you make this, and he helped me make one. A job that would have been $125 for a cartridge turned into $1,250. I'm like, holy cow! Then I went on a boiler, and I said, well, it would have been a pump. The pump would have been like $700. I sold it for $3,800. All the pumps and to redo everything. And so it just kept going on, and it's never stopped. And one thing that's surprising, William, is I'm just as surprised that it works as anybody, because I started out just like the plumber did. I'm not any more sophisticated than they are. I was dragging my knuckles through the crawl space and hurting my knees and everything too, until I realized I should be getting paid more for this. It's that nobody works harder than a plumber and a drain cleaner. I mean, literally, the drain cleaner, it's disgusting, the things they have to do.
Yeah.
And to see how little they do it for is just ridiculous. It should be, these are some of the people who watch after the health of our nation. Without sanitary waste being done the right way, we'd be a third world country, right? And so these are the superheroes of our society. I just believe, I don't know, maybe I'm erroneous. I just believe these people deserve to get, for the investment they put into the people in this country, they deserve to get the best return on investment possible. That's what I believe. Make sense?
Yep. Awesome. So I think I'll end it there, and I appreciate having you on, and I look forward to working with you in the future on stuff.
There you go, brother.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm gonna cut off here.